Howdy hey to the few people that have already joined the stream. Sorry, I just realised there's like loads of crumbs and stuff on my worktop. There we go, give that a quick wipe down. Yeah, we're going to be covering some of the replays from some of the Contenders Clash games that's been happening over this past week. Unfortunately, I've only managed to get replays from one of the series. I was hoping to do a couple of the other ones as well. So this time we're just going to be covering the series that was played yesterday between Jesse and Vertex. I was hoping to cover this live, but I ended up getting a bit tied up at work and didn't get back in time to do a live cast. And I do actually know the outcome of this series, so I'll try to do no spoilers. Again, if you do know any of the outcome yourself, please no spoilers in the chat, as per usual. But yeah, I might do some of the other replays. I'm hoping I can get some of the replays off some of the players later. But since I promised I was going to do this stream at this time today, I thought I'd just stick with it. I know it's normally a little bit quieter during the day. It's normally a bit more lively in the evenings, but then at least we've got a VOD for the archives, people that want to go back and watch the games later. Now let me just turn the starting the stream thing off. And I guess without further ado, might as well just jump straight into the drafts. Like I said, this was the best of 5 series between Jesse and Vertex. And Vertex always the funny guy with his names. Let's see what the map draft was. Jesse usually does like to go for those mixed maps, likes a bit of the water. Vertex, I feel like from a memory is sort of a similar sort of maps himself, though maybe he'll try to steer it more towards land maps, specifically against Jesse. And he does ban Ocean Ring. I know Jesse has been picking that map quite a few times, so that's a little bit sad. We won't be able to see that map because Ocean Ring is one of my more favourite maps. Plateau has been banned by Jesse there, but Vertex does actually pick Continental, so like I said, I feel like Vertex does quite like the hybrid maps as well. I think he also quite likes just the OG AOE1 maps, so I wouldn't be surprised to see another Inland, there we go, being picked, as well as Coastal by Jesse and Citadels by Jesse as well. So Inland always a little bit of a tricky map depending on the spawns. Normally you can rely on having some pools for fishing and the like, but sometimes there's like a river down the middle, sometimes there isn't, and that can distort the game quite a bit. I feel like Inland lends itself a bit more to just the generic jack of all trades, civs like Phoenicians and Yamato, that sort of thing. I've seen a couple of people pick Minoans on Inland, but I think it's better to save Minoans for things like Coastal or Continental, where the waters are almost guaranteed bigger factor, or Ocean Ring. Obviously that's been banned in this particular series. Let's have a look what the draft was for the civilizations. So like I said, it's best of 5, each player gets 6 picks, each player gets 1 ban each. The bans are hidden, so the ban can be the same, and the first pick is hidden, so the first pick can be the same again, just to remind anyone that doesn't know or has forgotten. Normally we see things like the Lakviat or Shangming banned. So sometimes Minoans does get banned when there's quite a lot of water maps in play. Though there's quite a few, normally it's actually when there's only, saying that it's only normally there's like 1 or 2 water maps. When there's this many, the Minoans obviously you can't use them on that many maps. But yeah, we go, Shang banned by both players. So it'll be interesting to see if Lakviat gets picked up by both players. We have nerfed the Lakviat quite a lot on the community patch, but it's still a very strong civilization. And the Minoans is picked up straight away by Vertex, which means Jesse gets the Lakviat and the very nice Yamato as well. I feel like Phoenicians will be a very high contested pick. A lot of people do like to pick Karth though, or Hittites. I feel like, was it Vertex in a series before that picked Hittites quite early? Someone first picked Hittites, I can't remember who it was. But there we go, Phoenicians as well. Romans, and possibly the Persians with Carthaginians, I would think here. Just to have another nice hybrid map civ. Probably go be the go-to to me. I'm not as big of a fan, and there we go, Persians, as the Hittites, as I've said before, now that the scout ship line has been nerfed to only have +1 range in the tool age. It feels like the Hittites struggle quite a bit in the early phases of the game. Carthaginians and Assyrians picked up. But yeah, Carthaginians is probably the last good ship. Actually, that's still the... completely forgot that Citadels was still the draft, so Hittites maybe for Citadels. Jesse just grabbing the other two top Citadel civs himself to maybe limit Vertex's flexibility a little bit. And Palmyrans is the last pick from Vertex. So I've seen being picked up a little bit more frequently by quite a few players. Noise parasites. Let me just maybe I'll unplug the microphone and plug it back in again. OBS actually. Is that better? I just plugged it in back in again. Sorry about that. I don't know exactly. Obviously, I can't hear it on my end. I probably should have done a little test. So apologies for the sound quality if there was something wrong with that until this point. What was I saying? Well, I lost my trail of thought there. Yeah, a few people have been picking up the Palmyrans a bit more recently. I think it was maybe it was unrestricted. Went with like a 16 pop rush on. I think it was it Inside Out against? Yeah, it must have been Inside Out against Say My Name, because the Citadel's game was the absolutely ridiculous 2-hour-long game. Encourage you guys to go and check out the VOD for that series, for what was an absolutely ridiculous series, best of 7 series between Say My Name and Unrestricted in the winners bracket. But yeah, I guess without further ado, we'll just get ourselves straight into the first replay. No need to hang around too much. And yep, let's load that up with Capture Age, and I'll mute the music just as I get ourselves in. I've lost where I'm going out. There we go. Straight into game 1 of the series. I think I'm going to have to update the scoreboard. Actually, I might be able to do it now. I'll do it before I quickly switch scenes, I guess. So yeah, I've got it marked as best of 7 still from that epic series between Say My Name and Unrestricted. But yeah, there we go. Game 1 between Jesse and Vertex. And Jesse, in the previous round, had played Genie, who he was his self-proclaimed long-time nemesis, as Jesse had a lot of trouble getting past Genie in previous tournaments. And, well, obviously he's in this next round now, so Jesse did actually manage to win that series, which I believe was a 3-2 to Jesse. And now faces a much stronger competitor in Vertex, who didn't have the best of series against, I believe it was Bongo in the winners bracket. A little bit of clumsy games from him from my memory. It's a little while since then that game was played, but yeah, Vertex actually grabbing those central elephants. And the 2 elephants here, actually maybe these are the central elephants, so those were the sort of outer ring ones. Those have been split by the wood line there. Jesse will grab at least 1 elephant for his troubles. But yeah, Vertex I think has been a little bit rocky. I think he's kind of a little bit out of practice. He did play in the Rise of Ancients Season 3 league in the Centurion division, but doesn't tend to join in with the sort of team games and stuff that just happen regularly on evenings and things. Whereas Jesse's been absolutely hammering out the hours on the community games, keeping their lobbies open, keeping the games in. So yeah, he does grab one of his own elephants. There's the other one just out in the back there, probably just out line sight at the moment. Not done too much exploration of us to then try and grab those initial elephant from the centre of the map. Looks like Vertex did probably grab one of his elephant on the way back as well, since he's got 3 there. And his other elephant at the back there. His base in general is very closed in, actually. This is quite... In fact, both players have fairly similar spawns. In fact, Jesse's might even be slightly better, as he has almost like a full wall side here. It'd be quite nice for Jesse if he could wall here to here, maybe to the edge of the map, but if he's maybe a little less greedy, he'll go here and here. I think maybe he could go here and here as well, and then he'd get a couple of golds inside if he did go from the edge of the map here. And yeah, Vertex, quite an enclosed area. He's not seen his gazelle yet. I imagine he'll start pushing that in a moment as soon as he sees those. But yeah, very closed off maps for both players. This is slightly more unusual of a spawn. You do normally have a couple of quite close by tree lines, but I think it's quite rare to have this many close by. Anyway, let's have a look. A little bit. Oh, actually, I hadn't even mentioned the civs. I've just realised Vertex is playing the Palmyrans, whereas Jesse's gone for the more usual Lakviat. So I was about to mention the idle TC time, and then I saw the symbol for the civ there. So yeah, Palmyrans is the pick for Vertex. They do normally get a little bit extra idle TC time at the start, and now he's actually stopped on 18 vils, so no rushes by Palmyran standards. And Jesse a little bit short on food with the Lakviat. Okay, 24 seconds, that's not too bad. And it's about 40 seconds extra, so both players effectively going up more or less at the same time. Be about 4-second advantage for Jesse here. There's an extra 2 villages is 20 seconds for each, so an extra 40 seconds added on to that 24 there. I think that was a barracks that got cancelled there. Does get pulled slightly further back. There's still going to be a little gap around the side there, so no forward from either player. Yeah, the barracks at the back here for Jesse as well. Jesse sort of trying to just building wall the front of his base. Maybe he'll reinforce that with like a wall out the front soon as well when he gets to the tool age. Just doing a little bit extra exploration. Didn't spot the wood line. Didn't quite. I saw that one tree, but doesn't know if that is actually a straggler or not. He's going to find his extra berries, which are actually quite nice, tucked in at the back there. Could potentially use that as an extra source of food. A lot of the times you get your berry spawns a bit forward, and then it always feels a little bit risky going for those. Vertex actually just missing his one of his bonus berry spawns there. The one that again is forward. And actually Jesse sending sort of late forward villager, and he's going to build an archery range in the middle of the map here. So that means he's going to cut down on the little distance between him and his opponent. And Jesse is going to try and go for those the walls I sort of tried to mention a bit at the start of the game. It looks like I did see that stable going up as I was talking, and a market going up in the walls over here. So both players going for quite wide walls right from the beginning of the game, just sort of trying to lock down a corner of the map for themselves. And where are those early clubbers? They're just starting to come forward now. Vertex has not made any clubbers of his own. It's just going to be straight into scouts. He doesn't have the eco to quite put out a second scout yet, but this will obviously get him some exploration. And Axer isn't going to quite see that, but the bowman does. Scout decides to just go on by. I don't know if Jesse must have noticed at this point now. The walls in the scout there. And also it's just the Axer going to hit away at the stable. But yeah, Jesse is mostly ward. I think there's a little bit of a gap as Jesse has actually run out of stone. So he might need to clog that bit up with a house, which he does do. Axer going to try and chase down the scout. Obviously the scout quite a lot faster. Walls just being built behind the weak houses. But we may get caught off it. Excuse me, doesn't have the armor in, and obviously scouts do a bit of that 3 bonus damage against archers. So that is first blood in favour of Vertex, but Jesse mostly, I'd say, a little bit more on the offensive, just because these scouts don't tend to get too much done once the bases are fully walled. Obviously Jesse is just house walling at the bottom here. He may chop through there. Axer has come to try and clean up the scout. Looks like Vertex, okay, just pulls it away just in time. Scouts are managing to get a few kills off on these archers, bowmen in the middle of the map. So yeah, all the kills going in his favour so far actually. But yeah, these axes and a boat on the wood line. Vertex does notice in time, sort of try to peel those back a little bit. And I don't know actually if that was Vertex, but that's just like the auto villager movement. But yeah, 4 kills. I think those were all bowmen. But 11 axes. Gonna try and chase down, but yeah, that's gonna be another boat going down. And there was an eco kill as well. That might be in the forward villager. I think there was like a villager building a few buildings around here. Must have got picked up by a scout somewhere. Quite a lot of low HP scouts still running around. Meanwhile, 32 vills for Jesse's, only 24. So Vertex has built himself up an absolutely huge eco leader. I guess Jesse's yet has been committed quite heavily towards the military count. And obviously it's quite a big investment for the Palmyran player. There's quite expensive 75 food vills, but once you got your eco up and running, all those farms in, you're going to get those resources starting to flood in. Meanwhile, Jesse is getting himself set up quite nicely on farms as well. But yeah, it's quite a large deficit, especially these Palmyran villagers work 25% faster. So essentially, Vertex kind of has about 9 extra vills than that counter is showing. So nearly double the eco. But Jesse got a good push going on here, but Vertex has quite a few bows at their back to fend off these axes. And Jesse does pull away without killing the barracks. Villagers do fully wall behind it. Scout does get caught off there. It feels like Jesse probably needs to try and break through. Like I said, he did have a good initial push, but it looks like he just didn't quite have the force to push through the buildings. A few added in bows from Vertex, doing a good job of holding back what is mostly the axes, like I said, that Jesse has been going with so far. Now he's got a few bows, and he is starting to add in villagers again, slightly closing the gap. But again, these workers, villagers I should say, working a lot faster. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, which is why I keep like pausing. I'm just going to get a tissue before the event happens. But yeah, still those few scouts. Like I said, managed to pick up quite a few of Jesse's bows. That's what most of that KD difference has been. And it feels like with the massive bows that Vertex has now, Jesse isn't going to be able to really take these fights. Although that said, he's the first to click to Bronze Age. Like I said, the Palmyran investment in their villages takes a little while to make up for, but you can see now that quite a lot of resources floating, and Vertex should be able to click Bronze Age for fairly soon himself. Yeah, it's a 10 vil lead as well. So just the macro side of the game for Vertex has just been a lot better. Well, in fact, I guess the military side has as well. It's just been able to pick up these few units. Like I said, he's not managed to like really get in on Jesse, but just definitely got that his value's worth out of those scout units in just terms of resources. Just deleted, not deleted, destroyed, I guess, eliminated maybe. Ooh, okay, maybe a little slight misstep by Vertex, going a bit close combat with his bows there. Vertex does manage to sneak those away without taking too much damage. Like I said, Jesse. Oh, I did see the cavalry tech just being teched into there, and there are a couple of stables. So maybe, yeah, it is on gold as well, so yeah, it's just going to be cavalry from Jesse. Just try and clear up this, I guess, the big massive bows really is what he's trying to contend with. The scouts are going to take down a house here. There is another row of houses behind, so they won't get in just yet. And Vertex might be a little bit surprised that Jesse is the first Bronze Age, but I guess so at the same time, Vertex hasn't done much damage to the eco. Like I said, there's that one eco kill, which I think was just the villager that was out in the middle. Axes, like I said though, not really managed to get too much done. just cleared up. Like you can see there's only 4 total kills between all those units, which is the entirety of Jesse's kill count. And improved bowman being teched into by Vertex. I don't know if that is sort of expecting Latviat player to just go into Chariot Archer. He's adding a couple of camels, which I guess does sort of like, maybe that's just in case Jesse did go for cavalry, just to little fend those off, give him a little extra time to get those techs in for the bows. Well, that said, it's not been followed up with a composite bowman tech. First cavalry unit going to come in, but Vertex probably going to be able to take out most of the axes in the process. Wheel is being researched. I don't know. Yeah, Wheel is in for Jesse. Didn't get that straight away. Might be able to take out the barracks, maybe a couple of villagers as well. Like I said, Vertex sort of trading off just the tool age army of the axes mostly going down, but the bowmen with them. This barracks here will go down. So improved bow is actually been trained now, but again, composite bow not actually researched yet. There we go, clicked in now. Maybe it was just behind one of the units. But yeah, these camels just going to make it a little bit annoying for the initial cavalry, and in fact Jesse is going to the Chariot Archer now, so we'll be able to get those a good number of improved bowmen. Is going to be quite nice for Vertex. They do out damage the chariots at range, and obviously the Latviat, chariots do have that extra melee armor, which means you don't really want to engage them with melee units if you can. Jesse may be able to respond. Normally, composite bowman's countered with the stone throw it, but Jesse a little bit tight for resources at the moment. And yeah, like I said, these early handful of camels just been a little bit of a nuisance. You can see composite bowman already in now, picking off a couple of those cavalry units there. Sorry, just a little brief interruption there. Yeah, like I said, this camel was getting out a good amount of effectiveness for the time being. Just the leftover axes not really going to be able to do anything in the face of the composite bows. And potentially Jesse could switch into composite bowman of his own. Does have that unit available. Latviat, I think, is the only civ in the game that actually gets the entire access to all the units at the archery range. And obviously Latviat can train those units. I forgot what the bonus is now. Is it 20% faster? We've we've changed the bonus quite a few times for their military production speed. I think it's 20%. I think it was 25% and we nerfed it back down to 20% in the community patch. But there is the Siege Workshop. I think this may be a little bit optimistic of a placement. I think that might be a little bit too far forward for Jesse. I don't think he's going to be able to defend that. Actually, that said, may get away with it as Vertex pulls his army round to this side of the map. A few villagers going to get caught off here. So extra T's have been started to be placed down in the meantime. And the Siege Workshop probably will go up in the end. Like I said, Vertex move his army over to this side of the map. He'll be able to clear up most of Jesse's buildings in the middle of the map here, going down fairly quickly. And there's a good mass of compies already, 23 at the moment on the field. Artisanship coming in for the extra range. Nobility being teched into, and there we go, there's the first stone thrower. Although that Siege Workshop being forward actually means it's kind of a little bit out of position now. So it feels like the battle's going to take place around this sort of area that we can see now. Jesse may be able to take advantage of the hill over here. He can pull the fight back to there. That would leave the front of his base exposed, so maybe he just have to take the fight, the choke hit. See a few chariots duking back and forth. Campbell's run forward. They can run back again. It's like the other power mirror bonus of the faster moving camels. You can see they're pretty swift moving. Actually look a little bit funny with the faster animation. Looks slightly unnatural, but Oh, a good hit from the stone thrower, but yeah, stone thrower is going to get taken down. Okay, yeah, it looks like Vertex hasn't even noticed. As probably should have just sent those camels to finish off the stone thrower. I don't know how that's got so low without Vertex even noticing. I guess there was just a few loose units around too far back there. Very odd. Anyway, back to the main action. A few villagers out on the field for Vertex. For I can't see an obvious reason why they were out on the field. I don't know if those were the stone miners from earlier. They just went for a run. But Vertex is trying to extend his walls now. It's going to take down that forward siege workshop. And so now shown to be in a little bit too vulnerable of a position on the map. 32 composite bowmen to the 26 chariot archers. Chariot archers do have the nobility upgrade in, so obviously they're reasonably tanky, nearly double the health of composite bowmen. But the Iron Age already in for Vertex, so he's just going to go straight up there. In fact, yeah, 106 vills to 60 now. I haven't taken note of that for a little while. Just see the sheer number of TCs, 8 down at the moment. Jesse's just adding in a 50 TC now, quite way behind on the eco count, and behind on military count as well. Vertex been continually adding those Palmer and camels in that can do a good job of closing the gap on the chariot archers with that extra speed I mentioned before. Getting for the +4 cavalry armor. Obviously doesn't do anything against the cavalry archers, but potentially if Jesse added in some sort of melee unit in the future, that would obviously help. Jesse doing, I was going to say, an okay job of kiting out, but it looks like casualties were fairly even on both sides. I think Jesse's going to struggle to deal with this group of composite bowmen. There's actually a couple of tool age bowmen mixed in there. I've just noticed. They've got considerably shorter range than the composite bowmen. And yeah, Vertex just extending his control of the map. We're going to lose a couple of villagers here for this. So he's not going to be able to fully seal up this part of the map, but you can see he's continuing to extend his way out into the centre. See a little bit of an engage here. Camel's going to be able to close the gap. Iron Age is in now for Vertex. Jesse, kind of a little bit of a ways off, is still trying to queue quite a few chariot archers, which is a reasonable amount of food investment actually. Maybe he cancelled a bunch there. It looks like I don't know. I swear, did he cancel a few there? I was like talking about it, I looked away and the number just like jumped massively. Oh no, he just it was just the gather rate just went up that quickly with that many villagers, I guess. So Iron Age is coming in now. Medium wall was researched by Vertex. Again, he's still kind of open at the front, but laying claim to more of the map. Jesse can maybe get an okay engage here, but he doesn't choose to take it. Alchemy going to come in for that extra +1 damage on all the missile units. Extra group of chariots over this side. It looks like Jesse very much on the back foot at this point, in terms of both eco and military. Palamirans do miss quite a few upgrades from my memory in the Iron Age, but obviously they just got that massively strong economy at this point. 140 Palmyran villagers, and Horse Archer has been added in as well. So I think they don't get the last range upgrade from memory. Yeah, they don't. I'm not sure if they get heavy Horse Archer either. I can't remember off the top of my head. Obviously, Alchemy and just regular Horse Archer are going to be pretty nice, as well as Catapult. Going to see quite a big fight here now. With Alchemy in, though, I think you've got, well, and Ballistics as well. I think you've got to imagine Jesse's not going to favour too well in this trade. Camels, okay, I was going to say, probably going to act as a meat shield, but Jesse just taps out, knows it's done. And fairly, I don't know, routine game. I don't know if that's the best word, but both players just sort of got themselves set up, but Vertex just had the stronger macro there and just built himself up to a larger army. There wasn't too many back and forth tussles. There was a little bit with the Tool Age army, but neither player really went for big early push in the tool rage, or managed to get much damage done in the tool rage, I should say. And yeah, it was just Vertex with his stronger macro and the eco of the Palmyrans taking over. The lack of most of their power lies within that early game, and Jesse didn't quite manage to break through those early buildings. You can see that stable still with 85 HP left from when he tried to break through that, but Vertex managed to get those bows up in time to sort of fend off the Axa push, even if his scouts didn't do too much. The scouts mostly picked off a few bows, so maybe Jesse went for the bowman a little bit too early. Well, I guess he didn't know that Vertex has gone straight for scouts without going for any axes of his own. But yeah, Jesse not quite able to get the damage in early enough to punish the Palmyran player before all it, like I said, the eco advantage just takes off at that point. So we'll do the customonial restarting of capture age to get rid of the burning noise, and I guess we'll probably just go straight back into the second game replay. So yeah, 1-0 to Vertex at the moment. Looks like the next map we went to Citadels, so let's just load that one up. And we're going to see the Romans from Jesse against the Carthaginians. Jesse did have the Greeks and the Egyptians in his draft, and Vertex had the Hittites. So Carth versus Romans feels a little bit unusual. Romans, I think, fare pretty poorly on Citadels unless they can get something done in the early game. Their Bronze Age is not a particularly strong one, just in terms of like the military units they can put on the field. Citadels tends to be dominated by the Chariot Archer civs in the Bronze Age, which neither of these civs are, which strikes us this matchup as a little bit unusual. I have seen some players use the Carthaginians on this map. They do get quite a few good, strong military options in the Bronze Age, even without the chariots. Their hoplites with the extra HP, as well as their camels with extra HP and the free nobility, can make their initial Bronze Age pretty strong. But yeah, I'm just wondering what Jesse can really do with the Romans here. Because yeah, Romans, their big weakness of just lacking any real options at the archery range in the Bronze Age means that they're sort of almost always forced into their infantry. But then if you're against a good hoplite civ like the Carthaginians, that leaves you a little bit stuck. So I'm be interesting to see how Jesse does approach this game. Both players with their extra berry patch forward. Occasionally you do get what I like to call the jackpot berries, sort of hidden away, tucked in at your back section sometimes that you get. No such luck for either player this time. And like I said, we'll see if we get much tool action out. Both of these civs have a fairly strong early game, the Carthaginians in particular. Just those extra 50 of each of resource can go quite a long way, for especially with the more experienced players that know exactly what they're doing, can utilize that bonus very well. But then the wood savings for the Romans do give them a nice, decent eco edge going through the game. Storage pit going to go up quite near the gold as well, so that's going to give Vertex quite quick access to there. Probably won't have to build an extra storage pit on his way up to the Bronze Age. Obviously, like I said, the Carthaginians don't get those chariot units, so we'll rely on the gold units. Yeah, Jesse just deleting a little bit of the back of his base there. Early village going out, I think just probably to just scout for the extra berry patch. Unless we do see, okay, yeah, it's just the berry patch there, granary going down. I was going to say, sometimes you do, if people are going for tool aggression, we'll see the barracks being built in the middle of the map. But yeah, Jesse just doing the old Citadel strategy of going for second berries outside, and then you leave your own berry patch inside and grab those later on. Just means that like if things do start getting a bit messy, you can always pull these villagers back. But if they don't, then you've grabbed these berries for free, where the game's usually a little bit more tamer in the early game, and you don't have to worry about usually too much aggression. Vertex is going up on 20 vills though still no barracks down on the field. But Jesse on 22 vills kind of looks like he's just going for the more... Ooh, okay. He's got a lot of villagers in queue here. I think some of those need to get cancelled, but it looks like Jesse's going to be going for the fast bronze. I think a lot of these need to be... There we go. They all got cancelled in one go. And there we go. Clicks up now. 16 seconds idle TC time and 24 vills. So Vertex is going to be to the tool age much quicker, but again, he doesn't have a barracks down. It's just coming down now. So this doesn't look like an all-in push, which makes the 20 vil up a little bit surprising. And obviously, Jesse can't see what Vertex is doing, so there's probably the fact that Vertex is up so quickly might cause Jesse to panic a little bit. Barracks is going up now. But we'll see if Jesse does still commit to the fast bronze, or if he thinks he has to prepare himself for a forward. But it looks like Vertex is just going to the Bronze Age, stable and market. Stable to unlock the academy, obviously, in the Bronze Age. Yeah, I just assume that's... Maybe that was... yeah, like I said, maybe that's just like a mind game thing, just to get up to tool age early and make your opponent think that they potentially are going to get attacked a little bit earlier. Sometimes players do go with a slinger rush with a couple of axes in. But Jesse is just going to put down a stable himself, and probably soon followed by a market. So it looks like if it was a mind game strategy from Vertex, then Jesse not too flustered by that. He's going to build a couple of houses just to sort of wall in these villagers on the berries there. But yeah, Bronze Age clicked now by Vertex up to 26 vil. So both players more or less, in fact they are both, okay, one extra villager's been sneaked in for Jesse there. And there we go. So that means Vertex must have researched needlework. No, wait, what? How is Jesse one village ahead? Oh no, he's clicked later up. That's what must I say? I was like, how are they going up the same time when it's the same idle TC time and one extra vil? But the answer to that question is they're not going at the same time. Tower going up on the granary. Obviously, the Roman towers are cheaper. I don't know if that's really worth it, because these... I guess there's only 2 villages there, but these berries won't be there forever. I guess it kind of protects the gold to a certain extent. Jesse adds in a scout as well. In fact, so does Vertex, just to get a little bit of exploration done. And like I said, it looks like Jesse is kind of setting up to just go for the hoplite himself. But again, the Carthaginians just simply have a higher health hoplite. And I believe Carth gets access to the composite bowman as well, whereas the Roman only gets access to the improved bowman. So even if Jesse did go infantry and Vertex wanted a bit more mobility, could rely on those bowmen. But yeah, it feels like the Romans just, yeah, like I said, I think that's what I always talk about, how the Romans have gone down a little bit in priority picking in a lot of the drafts. I think that's the Bronze Age for the Romans is quite a big reason why, because a lot more games now, especially with the new community patch, a lot more games tend to go to the Bronze Age. And I'd say the Bronze Age is the biggest downside of the Romans. They're fairly strong in every other part of the game. But yeah, the only real advantage they have in the Bronze Age is the cheaper towers, which don't really win a game by themselves. Obviously they have the fast attacking swordsmen, but it's a little, you don't really want to switch straight into those at the start of Bronze Age. You want to get your eco set up to the point where you can just spam those units, and the unit's power comes in how much you can mass them, not in their individual strength. And like I said, I think as soon as I guess Vertex is just going for, looks like a more eco approach at the moment. It's just one stable adding a few cavalry units. But I think when Vertex does eventually add in the academies, that's when Jesse needs to start sweating a little bit. And it's just a +2 attack for Jesse. I'm trying to click one of these units. For some reason, Capture A doesn't let me do it. No upgrades in for Vertex. Gonna start trying to whack away at this gate. He's sort of blocking off his own units there, so only one cavalry is actually hitting it. It's kind of a little bit weird that these units aren't wrapping around, actually, but okay, there we go. Gets a few more units engaged. Jesse is going to be adding the academy, but again, Vertex can literally just respond with an academy of his own to this play. But like I said, he's got the government centre set up, adding extra TCs. In fact, Jesse's on more TCs, I've just noticed. And Jesse does need to probably try and wall up behind this before the gate gets broken down. Just to give him some extra time. Doesn't really want cavalry running around his base. I think that gate literally just got locked there by him. So there we go, wall being researched now. Villager comes forward, and the wall will go up in time. In fact, he abandons making the academy in favour of getting the wall up. This last little block needs to be built though. There we go. I was a little bit nervous that wasn't going to go up in time. Like I said, the first few hoplites going to come out. And Vertex just sticking just with the one stable. And both players on 3 TCs now, same villager count. Roman economy should be stronger at this point, as obviously the Carthaginians' only eco bonus is the extra starting resources. From this point on, the Carth's bonuses are all just their military bonuses. The cheaper wood applying to farms for Romans is quite a nice bonus that extends through the game. We'll see if Jesse can flex that into any sort of advantage, but again, the hoplite unit. Okay, there we go. Vertex finally adding an academy of his own. A couple of quick walls. Again, there's only 7 food left in here. And Jesse could have just put those villagers in the tower to defend them, so I think that was a little bit overkill in the defense there. The villagers do stay alive, though they're both idle. There we go. Getting back on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the play really is here for Jesse. I don't know if he just needs to get himself to the Iron Age and just start trying to do the swordsman spam. Maybe try and add in the siege to try and deal with the oncoming flood of hoplites that Vertex is about to put out on the field. Because at the moment, Jesse doesn't really have an answer to this unit with the Romans. See, Vertex lacking quite a few upgrades. Jesse only has the tool age upgrades himself, that said. And Vertex squeaking ahead on the villager count. Well, arguably, like I said, the Roman eco, maybe balancing that out to a certain extent for the time being at least. We're going to see the first engage here. But I feel like this can't go massively well for Jesse. Jesse's a little bit scared of engaging with the cavalry against the hoplites, that said though. And Jesse does just have a large number of hoplites on the field for the time being, but you can see he's 25% extra HP. 150 HP hoplites for the Carthaginians. Tool working finally coming in now. +4 armor for infantry coming in for Jesse. But yeah, his hoplites just going to get pulled apart by those Carthaginian hoplites. And he's going to pull back the reinforcements, not commit them. Another tower going to go up. A couple of towers to try and defend. And ooh, was that a priest I heard? There we go. Some conversions going to try and come in. So that's going to be Jesse's answer for the time being. Just try and get some conversions in, and what does get the one. Gate is being hit away at, and then the wall going to go cut through. Jesse quick to try and add in some more walls. He needs to be careful of this wall, this gate here though. Tower's probably going to get this one up in time. I think the gate's going to go down before this wall goes up, tower goes up though. Wall's going to come in to try and block the cavalry. I think this is mostly blocked off by other buildings there. There's one in the gap there, Jesse quick to plug that hole. And 9 hoplites, kind of trapped a bunch of his own hoplites out. Another conversion trying to come in by the priest at the back. And the sentry tower plinking away. I don't think I saw Bronze Shield yet. Bronze Shield isn't in yet for Vertex. Conversion comes down on the cavalry. So yeah, just trying to hold the position with the towers and the priests. But the hoplites have got in here. Jesse couldn't plug all the gaps. Does have 11 hoplites, but a little bit spread around all over the place. You can see a bunch of them around the back here. So hoplites are going to be in on the eco now. Handful of villager kills coming in. Jesse trying to plug the hole. He does manage to get a villager in there in time, but okay, manages to run it to the tower, so that's good heads-up play from Jesse. But yeah, things are getting a little bit chaotic in the base now. +4 armor upgrade now coming in for Vertex, and you can just see the stream of hoplites. And again, Jesse does have quite a few in cube. It's actually housed now. Trying to get a few extra buildings up. A bunch of academies going up as well. But yeah, needs the houses. I'm not seeing any villager being tasked to build any new houses. Another conversion comes out. And the house goes down. Jesse just still trying to wall. And there we go, Bronze Shield is coming in now. Trying to help deal with the tower fire. Villager's going to get caught off there, unfortunately, for Jesse. Again, Jesse's still housed. He's clicked himself up to the Iron Age. But yeah, the house villager got taken down. And Jesse, like I said, he's been housed for like probably about a minute now, maybe even longer. More academies trying to go up. I mean, if Jesse can get himself to the Iron Age and get the Phalangite upgrade in, that will give him an edge for the time being. You can just hear the sounds of a few conversions coming out here and there. So maybe those conversions what are keeping Jesse in the game for the time being. Iron Age is clicked by Vertex. And you can just see the hoplite wars just going in favour of the Carthaginians, as you'd expect. Tower again just doing a decent amount of damage at the back there. Climbed up to just over 500 damage on that tower now. Damage dealt, that is. Jesse may need to just try and get the medium wall upgrade in to keep this line of defense going, give himself some time to get to the Iron Age. And there we go, improved bowman being tech. That's like, I think Carth, is that even worth it when you can just go heavy horse archer in the Iron Age? Or maybe not heavy horse archer, just regular horse archer. So I've accidentally click off my capture age. There we go, I'm back. I'm pretty sure Carth gets the horse archer. Or maybe they don't actually, because they get the elephant archer. So maybe I'm getting that wrong. Either way, we're making a whole handful of bowmen, ballistics, and medium wall. First thing's being teched into by Jesse. I think he needs to try and get the Phalangite as quick as possible. He's not going to have much time until Vertex hits the Iron Age. You can see again, massive villager advantages. More focus on the macro side by Vertex. Jesse has a lot of resources floating. Just doesn't seem to be able to get the numbers out in the field for the time being. Just doesn't have all these academies working at the moment. And like I said, okay, there we go. There's the ballista being teched into. Like I said, the siege just trying and deal with the hoplites. Don't know if he has time to get all these in though. Like I said, I feel like Phalangite, just to try and hold these hoplites, would have been the go-to. I'm surprised Vertex hasn't got Phalangite. In fact, I've not got Conquest Victory on. I've just noticed as we got Rune captured, I don't think it's going to reach that point though. Like I said, a little bit weird that Vertex hasn't researched Phalangite himself, given how many hoplites he has in the field, how many resources he has in hand. And he is going for the Elephant Archer on top of this now. Base is open at this point though. And there we go, Falcon coming in now. And I don't know if I saw... They just have... I don't know if these units have aristocracy in yet. I think they do because they were moving reasonably fast. But I think Jesse, a little bit out of options now. He's trying to mass himself into the ballista. I don't think he's going to be able to get enough on the field to deal with the number of what are about to be phalangite in his base. Just pretty quick, make pretty quick work of getting through all these buildings. Maybe Jess can hold, but at the moment ballista is literally the only unit he's making. These units do get an extra range, and they've already got for the Romans, and they do already have engineering in. Craftsmanship coming in as well now. There. I mean, Jesse just about holding on, but I think it's only really a matter of time. And, Vertex could just add in like a handful of cavalry or something, just try and sweep up these ballistas if he felt the need to. They're just being forced to run. To be fair, these ballistas have done quite a lot more than I thought they would. Looks like Vertex sort of disrespecting them a little bit here. The Elephant Archers are pushing forward now though. But yeah, the field count has just been massively in Vertex play a favourable game. Again, Jesse not really had a chance to try and push forward himself. 0 eco kills. KD is actually surprisingly even. Like I said, these ballistas done a lot more work than I thought they would do. Kind of like Vertex just sent his hoplites forward and just kind of like do what you want. And the ballistas be able to punish that to a certain extent. I think the ballistas should be very easily punished by these Elephant Archers though. Ballista's very, very flimsy. 55 health compared to 750 health these Carthaginian Elephant Archers have. And yeah, Stone Thrower still going to be no match. There's no alchemy in from Vertex. I'm not really sure why Vertex isn't spending his resources. He's been a little bit slow getting upgrades and such in. He's not making any units at the moment. Okay, he's just spamming towers forward, and GG is called. It's 2-0 to Vertex. And again, a fairly by the book game, I feel like. Like I said, I feel like the Romans didn't really have much of a chance into the Carthaginians. I feel like I think it might be Bob played the Romans on Citadels once, and it's just had the similar problem where the Romans just don't really have a good option to go to against most civs in the Bronze Age. You kind of have to get that with the Romans. You have to get that advantage in the Tall Age. Against Calf, that's difficult, and Jesse didn't really go for any of that sort of play anyway. He just went for the fast bronze. Vertex did go for the sort of, I think that was probably the only mix-up to the game, was he just went 20 villager tool instead of 23-24 for a regular fast bronze, but both players went for the fast bronze in the end anyway. So Vertex going out to a 2-0 lead puts him on series point. Let's go back to the file here. We'll get ourselves into game 3. And game 3 is going to be on Continental now, which I think was actually Vertex's map, if I quickly go back to the draft. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Jesse's other map was Coastal. So we're going to go to Continental for the next map. And let's just load us straight in. There we go. So we're going to see the Amato against the Minoans, two often seen civs on this map. I'll just do a little bit of a zoom out so we can see the whole thing. Players do often go for the initial dock or sometimes storage pit if they can be near a wood. I've seen Vertex actually quite often. Yeah, I was literally going to say this. For some reason, Vertex still makes a storage pit. This is just objectively the incorrect play, but Vertex still does it. This is fine because this one's next to a wood line, but you can build a dock here, and your villagers can still gather food to the dock. So this is just a waste of 20 wood. But yeah, Vertex still not quite caught up with the return of Rome changes since DE. Vertex still very DE-minded in his approach to the game. But you can see Jesse here obviously going to be able to take use of this storage pit by going on the wood. Whereas Vertex, I guess technically you can take this one tree. That's the 120 wood to replace this storage pit, I guess. I guess you could argue that. But yeah, this should just be a dock on the water. Villagers can gather fish to a dock. And obviously that leaves the berries left open for later on when needed. And like I said, both players going for the storage pit start means no fishing boats for the time being. Looks like Vertex just doing a little exploration. He's going to find one of his elephants there. Looks like he narrowly missed that one. 2 tile miss on that one. And a little bit of extra idle TC time from Jesse means that Vertex is going to have sort of like half a villager lead. Just getting a little bit extra resources coming in this early game. And then on the water, it's the age-old clash of the cheaper ships versus the healthier ships between the Minoans and Yamato. So it's just whether or not the Minoans can get a greater mass of units up to try and deal with those much more cost-effective Yamato ships. Bonuses are fairly even in their effectiveness, mathematically speaking. Minoans do have the advantage of the cheaper dock though, which definitely helps them try to get that mass of ships up. And one villager going a little bit far afield, collecting some fish there. Going to lose quite a bit of efficiency there, walking that far away. And there we go, Vertex forced to build another storage pit on the wood line there, which it's always I don't know if that is to try and get on the fish as well there. Potentially is. I always feel like it's a little bit weird when players build their storage pit on wood so near the water. Like often a lot of players, they'll wall this section in and then that defends you from land aggression. But doing this does just leave you completely open to if you lose control of the water, you just lose your entire wood line as well. First dock is going to come up from Jesse now, next to those shore fish there. Just going to have another couple. Okay, maybe size against that. I was going to say put some more dudes on the fishing. Barracks is a little bit. Would you call that forward? Not really, but with intention of going forward, I guess. Kind of going up on the berries for Vertex now. And Jesse is going to be the first to click up to the tool age. Quite a lot of idle TC time. Only 15 villagers as well, in fact. So Jesse going for something completely different here. Vertex, obviously, quite a few fishing ships out. Way ahead on eco. But only just clicked to the tool age now. Stable coming down. So Jesse, okay, well, obviously is Yamato, so he's going to have this cheaper scout. So it's going to be a scout rush. And obviously Vertex, like I said, a long way away from the tool age, and his barracks in absolutely no man's land for Vertex. It's just nowhere. It's going to leave all the villagers completely open. And Vertex not going to be able to wall in these villages as I suggested it may do just yet. First scout comes out, tool working already in. Scout armor in, and this one scout's going to be a little bit annoying already. No tool age in means no needlework. And quick house goes up, but one villager goes down. How many villagers are idle at? 3. As Vertex now hits the tool age. Second scout is coming in. And Vertex gonna be a little bit on the back foot here. And maybe Jesse with this, like again, 15 vills up I think it was. And no needleworking yet. Just defensive houses being attempted to be built here. Try and keep these villagers safe for the time being. It should be an archery range, and it is. And that's going to mean if Jesse can keep this aggression going, he should be able to just range over these walls. So again, no needlework in. Scout fully upgraded, still going to be able to do quite a lot of damage here. A lot of eco forced idle. Vertex trying to go into scout ship, but I think this is going to be decided on the land, as sometimes is the case. Just about keeps that other villager alive. A couple more scouts here just flanking round. And now Bowman being teched into, or swapped into I should say. And Vertex has to delete a house to try and keep his villagers alive, although that one kind of got left for dead there. I guess he was stuck between those two berries. Another 7 villagers forced back into the TC. And like I said, the barracks just in no man's land. He's making axes, but the axes aren't even going to be able to come anywhere to help it. Slinger being added in as well now, as obviously he sees Jesse teching into the bowman. I keep saying teching into, swapping into the bowman. But yeah, 8 eco kills already, and I guess it's mostly just the water that's keeping Vertex in the game at this point. Jesse is starting to add in a scout ship of his own. Another villager's going to go down though, and this bowman's not going to do anything before being taken down by the scouts. So yeah, Jesse with a very early rush, had quite a lot of idle TC time, but 15 vills up. So using the Yamato bonuses to make the most of his very feeble eco that he would have had at the start of the tool age. Obviously those cheaper military buildings definitely helping out a lot. Forward market there from Jesse. But yeah, the scout should really easily just take care of these bows here. Scout ship maybe makes that a little bit difficult, that said. And yeah, 12 eco kills now. Jesse going tower. Doesn't quite really reach the main wood line. But Vertex feeling the need to pull those villagers back either way. Woodworking already coming in as well now. And a couple of scout ships just defending. Well, I guess they're not really defending, I guess they're just idle really at the moment. A good mass of bows already for Jesse. Tower for Sanctuary if he feels the need to play a bit more defensive. And there were scouts being added in. But yeah, Vertex does still have the eco lead here. But Vertex being pretty compromised so far in the tool age. He's got a good mass of units built up now, that said. But yeah, he's been pushed off the berries here. He's only going to have a finite supply of shorefish. Obviously, like I said, he still has the fishing boats. Looks like he's maybe built another dock down here as well, so he's going to still have some food income coming in. And Vertex probably doesn't want to push in underneath the tower. Jesse's going to be able to take another trade here. I don't know where the scouts have gone. Okay, they're just chilling at the back here. Maybe we should employ those into this military service. One axer, I think that's literally 1 HP there. Yeah. A few houses being plopped down by Vertex. And here we go, the scout ship's coming forward now. Scout ship 6 for Jesse here. And again, like I said, when you build your storage pits on the shoreline, it's kind of leave you extremely vulnerable here, and I think we might be seeing that come into action. A couple of fishing boats possibly going to go down. Like I said, these Yamato fishing ships with just more health, higher health and higher numbers for Jesse. Next wave a little bit far behind, but they'll be able to come pretty quick. whole bunch of villagers get absolutely massacred there. Vertex trying to repair the ships, but yeah, the wood line can be picked apart. Jesse just focusing on the villagers, or trying to focus on the villagers for the time being. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit back there. Yeah, you can see all these villagers got pulled trying to repair. There's 5 that went down on the spot, and I think an extra couple will get added into that. Jesse just pulling back, waiting for the reinforcements to come forward. Storage pit now a little bit inefficient. Maybe Jesse needs to build another one. Looks like I did actually build one on the stone there, interestingly. I guess maybe I can imagine some extra towers. But yeah, looks like Vertex looks like he tried to go for some sort of forward, and Jesse just jumped out and punished that. 1 villager idle in the TC. A few scout ships. Does have this area walled in, but again, the next lot of scout ships going to come down. Jesse now has the eco lead. A whole bunch of villagers going to get taken down. Jesse may lose the battle in the water here, but it's done absolutely devastating damage to the eco of Vertex. So Jesse maybe going to be able to take a game here. It's starting to look like. Depends how much damage these bowmen can do, I guess. I guess Jesse has a handful of scouts that he could try and pull back. Obviously Jesse pretty vulnerable. Like I said, his village is a little bit clumsy, a little bit. Kind of probably needs to separate these out onto a second wood line. So actually bows could do a lot of damage here. And maybe Jesse's left himself a little bit too open. No needle working in for these villagers. Researching it now. And he has been able to pull most of the villagers back, although they're not really going anywhere. Needle work in now. Jesse just going to try to defend with the scout ships on the shoreline. Villagers all running. So it's all going very well for Jesse, but the counter-attack comes in. Maybe I spoke too soon. And yeah, Vertex with the eco lead again. Just those fishing boats keeping him ahead. And all of Jesse's army. Jesse needs to send the scouts separately. It always really grinds my gears when people put like a fast unit clumped together with a slow unit. It's like, just bring the scouts back. Let them use the speed. Okay, that's just a dock that Jesse tried to build forward. Another tower is going to go down. So Jesse just tries to defend on this wood line over here now. I guess maybe if you send the scouts on their own in this situation, maybe they wouldn't be able to fight by themselves. So maybe that is the right call here from Jesse. And he should be able to just easily take this fight now. And yeah, the Vertex army is going to get swept up. But again, Vertex with a pretty convincing eco lead. Jesse has, well, I was going to say there, but you can literally see it on the screen now. Big advantage on the water. He's going to be able to clean up here. So this game very back and forth. And Bowman deciding to suicide under the tower there. That's a little bit odd. Didn't, decided, just about got out before that last arrow could hit its mark. So I think, I mean, score says Jesse is 800 points ahead. I guess that's, yeah, the KD speaking for itself there. The Vertex, just those fishing boats really keeping them in the game at the moment. To be honest, I'm surprised that is as big of a difference as it is. But again, I guess it just comes down to the KD. Big force on the water though. Jesse going to try and kind of weirdly sort of slipped behind the dock there, but anyway, going to take down one of the ships and one of the repairing villagers. And Vertex is going to take care of that tower in his base. Should free up the option, potentially get himself another granary up there. Jesse's going to be able to take out a couple of reinforcements on the water. Another couple of scout ships going to wrap around, and we're going to see a little fight here. Looks like, yeah, Vertex mostly bowmen. They're not really paying attention. There we go. It's going to lose a handful of axes before realising it. Now the fishing boats under threat. Like I said, I think this has been most of Vertex's advantage, and yeah, you can see now Eco swapping back in the favour of Jesse. Jesse hasn't actually made any fishing boats of his own. But yeah, we'll switch back to the fight on the water. I think this just favours the Yamato player here. Well, in fact, yeah, it's just a numbers advantage anyway. So Jesse probably doesn't really need to micro as much as he is doing. Scouts floating forward now. And he should be able to finish off the land army with the scout ships as well. Huge difference in the military count now. And maybe this is Jesse's time. I said it earlier. Now it feels like the advantage is absolutely ballooning. And if Jesse wins this fight on the water, that's probably all of this wood line, all of the fish eco gone for Vertex. See more units being pumped out. Fishing boats trying to block. Jesse getting good damage in. He's decided to try and attack the fishing boats for the time being. Bowman kind of just doing their thing. I think Jesse's just completely focusing on the water for the time being. Vertex trying to get some reinforcements in. A lot of his ships are on low HP though. Another run of reinforcements comes in for Jesse. They're going to start targeting the wood line, GG's called. And it got messy. It got messy there. Like I said, the first two games were fairly run-of-the-mill. But Jesse mixed this one up here. Went for a 15 pop-up. I'm not exactly sure when he said that message, Carver, but yeah, no needle working for Vertex. It's kind of funny because Jesse got needle working like literally the moment he saw Vertex in his base. Literally the moment Jesse sees Vertex in his base, he stops villager production, instantly researches his needlework, and then Vertex literally didn't get the entire game. So I don't know how much it would have helped really here, to be fair, because when the initial scouts came in, Vertex wasn't in the tool age. Maybe like one or two extra villagers survive a bit of a bombardment, but when you're like getting harassed by scout ships and stuff, I don't feel like needleworking really makes that much of a difference in that situation. That said, you should still research it, but I'm just saying it probably wouldn't have made the difference in this game, I don't think, in terms of the outcome of the game. Again, yeah, Jesse had that one moment where I thought maybe I'd spoken too soon and things might come a little bit undone. But the scout ships that were back at the shoreline helped keep those villagers somewhat safe. Gave them a little passage back over here. And then Jesse was able to sort of pull back the rest of his units in time to fend that off. Yeah, Vertex not wanting to run through the scout ships there. So yeah, it's basically just these scout ships left for Jesse. Made that. Kept him in there. Because yeah, he went up, like I said, 15 vills. Quite a bit of idle time. So it's just quite a risky play, but those early scouts getting a good amount of damage in. Yeah, one of the Yamato, obviously one of the best civs for going for the scout rush. Yeah, I mean, it will. He probably will have lost less vills, but I don't think the outcome of the game would have changed, is what I mean to say. I feel like Vertex. I mean, obviously it's hard to say really, because like maybe if he has like a few more villagers on wood, maybe Vertex gets more ships out on the field and doesn't lose control of the water. It's hard to say, but yeah, like I said, he should have researched it either way. I'm not disagreeing with that fact. So, Jesse does take us to a game 4. I'm going to restart Capture Age. And game 4 is going to be on Coastal. So now we've gone back to Jesse's map, which is kind of odd. Excuse excuse me, that sneeze that I've been saving up for about half an hour finally came through. But yeah, Continental was Vertex's map and Jesse had Coastal, so we've kind of swapped each other's maps here. Inland is the potential 5th map, should Jesse bring us to a 5th game. He did do quite well there in that last one. And we'll see if he can maybe try and mix something up again here on Coastal. And we're going to see Hittites from Vertex and Jesse on the Persians. Like I said, I'm not that huge of a fan of the Hittites on these maps. And in fact, this Coastal is a bit of an odd spawn. Maybe not that odd. Get yourself so you can actually see capture age. Okay, I thought it was like closed off. That's actually, you can cross over that. But it's quite, the land is quite tight to the edge of the map, is what I was getting at. And we do often see these coastal spawns where there's like one edge of a map here. That makes it a little bit weird for where people build their docks. Because obviously, like, what a dock here has to go all the way around the entire map to reach over here. I think I've not actually seen coastals being played. I think I've seen coastals being picked in a couple of series, but I don't think I've actually seen coastal be played this tournament so far, at least in none of the games I've casted. But like I said, Jesse on the Persians should theoretically have the much stronger civ in the early phases of the game. Obviously, if Vertex can get himself to the Bronze Age, then you get the +2 range on the War Galley at that point, which is pretty strong, even against the faster firing Persian War Galleys. Just that extra +2 range makes it very hard to force engages. And then on the land, obviously, the Hittite Chariot Archer. But the Hittites have no eco bonus. The Persians have the faster gathering hunts, which Jesse is going to be taking advantage of with these Gazelle hit. So we'll see if Jesse tries to go for some sort of aggressive play again. Or, well, we'll see, I guess. Or I was going to say, or if they commit more to the water. I feel like it's probably in Jesse's interest to try and get something done in the early game. Because again, a bit like the Romans, the Persians are very lackluster in the Bronze Age. And unlike the Romans, I think like the Persians don't really have a great Iron Age either, to be honest. So if it feels like you have to get yourself ahead with the Persians, use that hunt bonus to give you that nice strong head start and then try and convert that into something in the early game. Oh no, that's not a good early game for Jesse. What happened there? He kind of like... Oh, we've got a forward villager as well from Vertex, but the villager sort of like hesitated. The elephant went like machine gun mode. What the hell was that? Wait, what? Oh, it's because he's on the hill. It's on the downhill, that's why. That was unfortunate. He took the 25% bonus damage because the elephant was on the high ground. Vertex villager, right in the middle of his opponent's base. But yeah, 26 seconds idle time and a lost vill. So effectively 2 villagers behind already for Jesse, which is really bad. Like I said, Jesse needs to take as much advantage as he can of the early game. High ground for Vertex briefly there. Jesse wise to out micro that engagement. Vertex going to be forced to run away, but obviously Vertex does know exactly where his opponent is now. It'll be interesting to see if Vertex does try to take advantage of that fact with a forward military building of some kind, and Vertex on the 500 resources he needs to click up. There's a little bit of a gap where he probably could have clicked a few seconds earlier. That 34 seconds idle, but he's going to be able to click up to the tool age quicker. Jesse gets himself back up to 20 vills. Okay, Vertex loses a vill there, but I think Jesse's going to lose another vill from the forward version from Vertex. Well, this may slow down a potential forward barracks that Vertex might have been going for there. But yeah, Jesse. Oh my god, he still hasn't clicked. Oh, is this... It looks like he's switching into going to a fast bronze. Jesse's got quite a bad habit of this. How many is this? Like 10 villagers in queue. He cancels those all down now. But yeah, 23 villagers. So I think Jesse trying to transfer this into a fast bronze. But yeah, Vertex knows exactly where Jesse is. And obviously Vertex basically in the tool age already. So I'm surprised he hasn't put the barracks down already. This feels... Has he put the barracks down? Okay, he's put the barracks down at home. Okay, that makes more sense. And I guess we'll see archery range forward. Or is he going to do dock? It's going to be a dock. Which, funnily enough, isn't really going to do anything. I guess he can probably reach a handful of villagers on the wood there. But Jesse, like I said, is docked on the other side. So this dock is the entire map away from this dock here. And I've no idea why Vertex didn't just go for an archery range or something there. Or even a stable he could have done. It feels like he squandered his advantage he just had from the messiness of Jesse's tool age. Actually, it looks like Jesse did manage to bring that damaged villager back. Yeah, there it is. So managed to keep that one alive. And I have no idea what this is from Vertex. I can't. This why send the villager forward just to put that down? Anyway, walls, double gate from Jesse just to make sure there's no gaps in the wall. And yeah, Vertex is now going to realise this dock is basically pointless. In fact, he's still not even made anything from this dock. He's making a fishing boat now, I guess. But yeah. I mean, all things considered, Vertex is still in a pretty decent position. Like I said, all he really needs to do is get himself to the Bronze Age. That said, Jesse, like I said, has pulled off his fast bronze he was going for. But, yeah, Vertex is basically completely walled now. Like I said, the onus is on Jesse to get some sort of damage done. He has already switched onto the gold, so it will probably just be cavalry rush in the early Bronze Age from Jesse. Maybe able to squeeze out another stable somewhere. Is this going to be a forward villager putting another stable down perhaps? Does see the dock from Vertex. Going to put another dock up on this side. It's probably just going to be a couple of scout ships out just to punish these fishing ships here. And the villager still just sort of roaming around trying to find where on earth he's going. Not really sure what this village is up to. But we haven't added in another stable just yet. Got the wood to do it. Maybe just saving the wood for a couple of scout ships. There we go. Another dock on this side from Vertex. Okie dokie. So he pulls that villager around. So this dock's going to be a little bit more useful. But I think it's just going to be a trading of fishing boats here. War galleon straight away. Cavalry as well. Leave Jesse a little bit thin on the ground for food overall. So I guess war galleon for a single scout ship at the moment. And I don't know why he's not just popped that out straight away. I guess he doesn't know whether or not Vertex had a scout ship in hiding there. But yeah, scout ship coming out for Vertex. He's now clicked to the Bronze Age himself. And first cavalry unit is out. Getting a little bit spooked there. Clubman just going to get cleaned up very easily by this cavalry unit. And another dock is going to go up. War galley is in. Jesse still hasn't popped out. There we go. So his fish got in a little bit extra food than perhaps they should have. But yeah, we're going to see basically a trade. And obviously it's going to be much worse for Jesse. It's got more fishing boats to lose on this side. Does notice now War Galley queuing in behind the fishing boat here. And I think he'll be forced to cancel the fishing ship upgrade. He's going to research it at this dock up here, I suspect. There we go. War Galley's going to come round. Docker's just going to block this off, though. Like I said, this was very close to the edge of the map. These fishing boats aren't really going to have anywhere to go for Jesse here. Initial cavalry unit coming forward, but again, Vertex completely safe for the time being, as far as I could tell. Bronze Age in now, and Vertex got War Galley himself, and I suspect will be in fairly soon. It's just migrating away from the War Galleys on that side, and then Vertex can start adding in the Hittite Chariot Archer. Might be a little bit of an overchop here soon from Jesse. Yeah. Okay, those fishing ships did manage to keep those alive. But yeah, the Hittite +2 extra range, and that's before Artisan ship even in. And War Galley about to come in as well. And Jesse, like I say, is not going to be able to wrap around to support from this side. So he has 3, or just the 2 docks. Actually, that's Vertex's docks there. Dock there. He's going to be able to take down the market. The wheel is already in, and that was the main upgrade Vertex will have wanted. Archer range and a government centre coming down. And quite a big eco lead for Vertex at this point. Obviously Jesse losing a lot of the eco from the fishing ships he had. And the last of those fishing ships being quite... Actually, no, I say that. A handful of them did manage to get away. One cavalry unit just chilling on the south side of the map there. But yeah, again, this is starting to feel a bit like Vertex just has the stronger later game civ, and Jesse hasn't done the early game damage he needed to do. A bit reminiscent of Romans versus Carthaginians on the Citadel's game. And Doc's just still going up. Can you... I think you can just wall here. Maybe you can't... I don't know. No, you probably can't, actually. That's like short how you can't... Oh no, maybe you can. Can you wall there? I don't 100% know. But Vertex could... I'm pretty sure you could literally just put a couple of wall sections there if you wanted to. But anyway, Chariot Archer, like I said, has been built into now. You don't really want to trade with scout ships, but Jesse not really paying attention here. Scout ships have... quite a lot of, War Guys have quite a lot of damage and quite a lot of health, so you don't normally want to attack them with land units. Jesse's actually going to lose a house here. And Will only just coming in now for Jesse. But yeah, again, it's quite a long ways behind on eco. There's a handful of cavalry units, just hasn't really got the job done. Dock going up on the opposite side of the map. Extra TCs being added in by both players at this point. You see blinking lights on various points of the map. An annoying bowman there, going to get taken down by the War Galley, I should presume. But yeah, villager getting picked off there, and probably another villager here as well. But yeah, like Jesse sort of trying to spread himself out around the map, but doesn't really have control. And then we see Chariot Archer mass already up to 14. I don't want to sound too doom and gloom, but again, I don't feel like there's much Jesse's going to be able to do at this point. He's trying to add in the cavalry units. Does have the +4 attack in, to be fair. And Vertex only just getting the melee armor in for his archers now. But the window closing. Like that said, Vertex doesn't really have the food. He's got quite a lot of villagers on wood. Needs to get a few more of those on farms, really. You can see there's a whole bunch of villagers on wood over there. So not really being able to add in the extra chariot arch for the time being. And most of the... Where is all the navy? It's just around and about. Not really doing too much. Like I said, the awkward nature of this map has sort of prevented warfare. Water warfare is what I was trying to say there, from really taking place. Although, actually, that said, Jesse can sneak through here. That would be quite a nice little counter attack. I'm just having a look. Chariot Archers already getting in on that extra TC. As I said, there's already a decent number of Chariot Archers at home ready to defend. Vertex still no needlework tech in. Cavalry doing a decent amount. Yeah, +4 armor isn't in for Vertex. So, actually, just going to do quite nicely in that initial engage. In fact, it's probably going to do some amount of damage here as well. There we go, managed to pick off that last low Chariot Archer. So actually, Jesse making a go of it. Going to be able to kill a few villagers here. Again, no needlework in. Going to mean quite a lot of villagers go down. There's still plenty of chariots and war galleys assisting, and all the cavalry units do get taken down. GG's just called, and good luck next. So Jesse, I guess that was an all or nothing for Jesse. Decided once he lost the cavalry numbers, he was probably a bit too far behind. Oh, he's down 26 eco, to be fair. He's not really been able to add in much eco. Where were the Chariot Archers? Maybe they did quite more damage here. There's quite a lot of little pockets of action. I guess maybe he just lost all his fishing ships here? Because he's on 40 here. I guess maybe he just wasn't paying attention and lost. I can sort of hear death, but I can't see it. Lost a bunch of villagers there. I guess it's just losing units to the war galley. Yeah, a couple of war galleys came out. Probably cleared up most of that. Yeah, okay. I guess Jesse was just focusing here and here. Didn't sort of realise he was getting picked off on the short shoreline here. Yeah, noticed at this point. I think fairly soon after this, the GG got called. Yeah, Vertex just very, very far ahead on eco at this point. And the score quite heavily in his favour as well. So, 3-1 to Vertex in the end. And I think, like I said, Jesse made it, excuse me, a little bit more interesting in that third game on the Amate. But otherwise, it just kind of felt like he wasn't really able to get much damage done in those early games. Like on the Latvia as well, game where he was playing against the Palmyrans, not able to quite crack open his enemy's base with those early axes. And Vertex just very strong on the macro side. And then again, in this particular game here, as well as the Citadel's game, it just felt like Jesse had to get something more done in the early game. Unfortunately, in this game here, excuse me, he did lose that early villager to the elephant on the downhill. 2 hits from the 10. Normally you can take 3 hits from an elephant, but because the elephant was slightly on the higher ground, meant that Jesse could only take 2 couple of hits. Again, I was a little bit confused by this dock by Vertex. I think he maybe just assumed that Jesse was going to be on the water, and obviously he doesn't see the whole map, so maybe thinks. I think probably should have just gone for an archery range or something like that, though, to try and punish his opponent. But it is what it is. He still wins the game anyway. So Vertex will obviously advance on to the next round. And like I said, I was hoping to cast some other series today, but I wasn't able to get the replay files. And we'll see potentially if I can get some more of those in the future. But for the time being, that catches us up, excuse me, with all the games I have available. We will see what's the series tomorrow? There is a series tomorrow going on. Let me just double check which series it is. We are going to see Ah, yes, the other winners bracket semi-final game, which is going to be between Cool and Mini Yeti. I'm just going to get rid of Capture Edge because I always like to do the burning bug. So that's going to be at 18 GMT tomorrow, which is Sunday the 23rd of June, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously, but for those who are watching this live, this will be somewhat obvious. And we have, what other games left do we have? Just the Bongo versus Bob game, which is, they still need to decide when that game is going to take place. And I think we're fairly along in the bracket. I'm just going to have a quick check. It's just the last handful of games. So I think Vertex, close your ears, shut your eyes if you don't want any spoilers for the next games coming up. If you haven't watched some of the other games, where am I trying to look here? Tournament bracket, here we go. So Vertex is going to go on to play unrestricted, yep. Okay, and then the winner of Takeaway Bongo and Bob will play the loser of Cool and Mini Yeti. Say My Name already in the winners final, so Say My Name is guaranteed a top 3 position. And I'm trying to remember what the actual prizes are for this tournament. Yeah, so top 3 get some money from the prize pool. So Say My Name already locked in as a prize winner. It's just a question of which prize he actually manages to get at this point. And then, yeah, like I said, hopefully we get Bongo versus Bob scheduled fairly soon. And then we can get some of the other last few games of the tournament sorted out for you guys. Until then, I'll probably just sign off for today and have a bit of a chilled Saturday. I think there's still some of the league games going on and stuff, and I'll try to cover those games a little bit more in the coming weeks. But I've mostly just been focusing on the Contenders Clash for now. There's been quite a lot of action in the Swordsman division, which has been quietly going on in the background. I think if you check out Jesse's stream, he is often showing replays of those. He normally just leaves them on in the background under like auto camera or like player POV. Just as he's, I think he just has it running in the background whilst he's actually working. So if you want to check out some of the Swordsman games, you can go and look on his Twitch. But like I said, I'll probably be covering more of the Rise of the Ancients League games in the coming weeks after the Contenders Clash tournament has finished. For the time being, it looks like we don't have anyone else streaming for the timing. So I'll probably just leave it there. This is, yeah, okay. Radio. I'm just checking the last few scheduling things on the Discord. But yeah, I think that's all we've got going on for now. And then, yeah, like I said, it's just the other winners bracket game tomorrow afternoon/evening. So hopefully, I'm not sure 100% sure if I'm streaming that game or maybe Unrestricted will do it. I think Unrestricted still not been feeling too well, so I think it might be me again. But otherwise, yeah, catch you guys. That have stuck around for this replay. Thanks for joining the stream, and I'll see you guys later.